4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to LMC Live Community Conversations. We are talking with our municipal officials. Town of Mamaroneck Supervisor Nancy Seligson, Village of Larchmont Mayor Lorraine Walsh, and Village of Mamaroneck Mayor Tom Murphy. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Nancy, I want to start with you because there's news on the town taxes, which are due next Thursday, a week from today, April 30th. So this is sort of our last chance to talk about it. And I know there's news being announced tomorrow. So why don't you let us in?
Sure. On our last show and last week, I did announce that there was a property tax relief program that was available to all residents, and that still is the case. It is an opportunity to, if you have to pay your taxes late, that the fee that you will pay, the penalty fee, will be dramatically reduced from what it normally is. So if you pay in the month of May, it's a half of 1%. If you pay in the month of June, it's 1% up to July 15th, actually. And after that, it is 5%. So those are very, very dramatically reduced fees. And that's open to anyone who needs to pay late in the community.
But there's also a hardship
yes,
tax deferral.
Not for this, though. There is a new program that just came out through the governor's executive order the other day that allows Westchester County taxpayers to defer and delay their town and county property taxes that are due April 30th, to defer and delay them till July 15th with no penalty if they are eligible through showing hardship criteria. And the hardship criteria consists of being star eligible in your taxes, and you are not paying by escrow, and you sign a piece of paper that the county created, a document that says you have suffered a hardship from the an economic hardship from the coronavirus. And we have a document for residents, individuals, businesses, and for landlords who own rental properties. All of this information is on the website and of the Town of Mamaroneck. It's www.townofmamaroneckny.org. And the communities, the towns, have to opt into this offer for their residents by letting the county know that they want to participate in this. And in return, the county has said that they would be willing to negotiate the amount of taxes that the town is currently required to produce to the county as of May 25th. So, of course, we would like to offer this. And in fact, we have. All of the information is on the town website. So you have two opportunities. One, if you've endured a hardship from coronavirus, you can fill out this one page that tells us you have a hardship and can potentially qualify for 0 penalty payments up to July 15th. And two, if you haven't, you can are automatically eligible to pay the reduced penalty fees.
And Tom, I'm sorry?
I just wanted to finish by saying that everyone have to pay their town and county taxes by July 15th.
And Tom, you have residents in your village who some are Town of Mamaroneck and some are Town of Rye. Does this apply to those in the Town of Rye?
Yes, I think this applies to all towns in Westchester County.
Nancy, are you concerned about the town having sufficient funds to pay over to the county?
I'm not overly concerned. We have a very high collection rate for our town taxes. We're already over 40% at this point. We are expected to produce to the county 60% of the taxes that are due to them by May 25th. We do think that we'll be able to make those numbers, but I think that, the county has said that they are willing to negotiate with towns that don't make those numbers.
Lorraine and Tom, actually, your guys are in budget season. Your village budgets are due May 1. Is that
May
right?
1. They have to be adopted by May 1. Mm-hmm.
Where do things stand? And I'll start with you, Lorraine.
Okay. We just had a board meeting this past Monday night. where we had the public hearing on what we refer to as tentative 2.0, because we took tentative 1.0 and threw it out the window, basically. We're projecting a revenue shortfall for the next fiscal year of approximately $800,000. And so in order to account for that, we've had to make some drastic cuts to our capital plan. And we've cut in a couple of other expense line items that
So
we
what
want to
things-
find some savings in.
What things can people expect not to see done?
We have removed some vehicle purchases in the DPW and the police department. We have taken a very large sum out of our road paving, sidewalk and curbs. So infrastructure really, because the village budget, the operating expenses are about 80% personnel related. So unless we start making drastic changes in personnel, we have to go to the capital in order to find that magnitude of cuts.
What about in the village of Mamaroneck, Tom?
Our first budget, as Lorraine succinctly puts it, 1.0 was a tax cap compliant budget. Then we did the projections based upon loss of meter revenue, loss of different fees, the diminished sales tax, and we were looking at over a $2 million hole. So we did a lot of cuts. There were a lot of positions that we had funded in the new budget that were new positions that were going to move the village forward and maintain the pace of progress that the village has been going under for the last few years, that we had to take out. And I feel bad about that because we were on a good roll, but this is emergency situation we're all living under. But we now have a budget that's back under the cap. But there's going to be some capital items deferred. There are going to be some things that were in the operating budget that are going to be capitalized. And we've cut a lot of positions, and we had to be less generous in some areas than we would have liked to have been in a normal year. And I just want to say how lucky we are as a community to have the staff that we have. They did all that, and they really came up with the cuts. We came up with some suggestions here and there, but the staff, the building departments, not the building department, I mean all the department heads really took it upon themselves to because the gist of the situation was either you make cuts where you think you can, or then we have to make cuts. So that they were responsible, and they made cuts that they found palatable. But I really appreciate all the hard work they did. It's not an easy time, and nobody's enjoying this. But we're back under the cap, and hopefully this will just be a bad year, and it'll just be something we'll talk about in the future as something we got through.
I'm going to pivot from money matters to masks. And Lorraine, you're the unofficial social media guru of how to wear or carry a mask with you. So I'm going to ask you, what's the protocol?
Well, I'm really just looking at what the health experts and the governor had to say about it. And, my own experience and common sense. It seemed like there was unfortunately, a lot of stress and rancor building up over this issue. So I kind of felt like, let's just, put something out there that everybody could probably get behind. Just always have a mask with you. Have it around your neck, under your chin, so that when you come near somebody, if you're out walking on a busy street or in a crowded park, or you're going to go into a store or a bank, you pop it up, you're covered, right? And it's visible, which I think is a nice thing to do for other people because it makes them feel comfortable. It gives them a sense of security. hey, that person is, you know, they're not going to get worked up. They're going to see that you're prepared. So I just think it's a nice thing to do.
And Lorraine,
That's my protocol.
there's a question that came in from a viewer. Can you please confirm that face masks are more effective against people giving the virus than getting it?
So everything that, yeah, I'm not a doctor, right? And I don't play one on TV either, but everything we've heard is that the face masks that most of us are walking around with, you know, little surgical masks, homemade fabric, a bandana, the concept there is that it prevents your germs and your spray, shall we say, from getting on other people. It won't necessarily protect you from other people if they are unmasked. That's why the best idea is if you're near somebody, you both have a mask on, and there's a much less communication of germs between the two people.
Yeah, I think it's part of like the new social contract. You know, I'm wearing a mask to protect you, you're wearing a mask to protect me.
Exactly.
You know, and it's something that it's easy to do. You know, I usually have this, and I'll have it around my neck, and even if there's somebody around, I put it over. And you know, it makes life, you know, when you see that and you're both doing it, you're recognizing, you know, that you're looking out for each other.
Is there any, within the 3 jurisdictions, any enforcement protocol for people not wearing a mask or not social distancing?
Well, there's no enforcement. There's actually no enforcement action that can be taken for the masks at this point. Nothing was put into the executive order on that. I think the governor is hoping that, like Tom said, that, you know, everybody understands that this is just something that we should all do. It's part of our social contract. In terms of social distancing and other infractions to the orders that have come out, I believe you can fine someone up to $1,000. But the Village of Larchmont police are just, and our code enforcement officer are just going around and talking with people and reinforcing what needs to be done.
Go ahead, Nancy.
In the town, we also are going up to folks if they're not keeping the appropriate social distance, reminding them, asking them. And so far, everyone has been very compliant. We don't want to be in the position of arresting people or giving anyone violations for it. We really want to work with the residents and work with everyone to have them comply.
I did ask our code enforcement officer to visit all of the stores and businesses that are open and have them put signs up like the grocery stores have that say, you know, you must have a mask or face covering to enter. Because you can't social distance in a bank vestibule. You just can't.
Yeah, I went for a walk the other day, and I ran into a gentleman I hadn't seen for a long time. And he started talking to me about 3 feet apart. And I took a step back and he took a step forward, and I took a step back and he took a step forward. I was like, stop, come on. Oh, yeah. I was like,
it is hard to remember sometimes, but I do think people are trying to comply. And I was surprised after the mask executive order came out and suggestion, and certainly after Lorraine clarified it, that everyone was able to really get it.
Now I can't go out without a mask on, Ara.
No.
Yeah, there's actually a question from a viewer. They were having difficulty purchasing a mask at the stores, typical surgical mask that one may buy. Are there any local stores that are offering masks, whether they're home sewn or places that they can purchase?
I know that you can, well, if you donate to Neighbors for Refugees, you can get hand sewn masks for your donation. That's one way to get them. There are a lot of videos online that show you how to use. I actually made one in my home. I wish I had it here to show you before I got a little surgical one. You take a bandana and you fold it up and you put rubber bands on the sides and pop it on and you've got one. So it's not that difficult. Or be classy like Tom Murphy and wear
Yeah.
Where are you
Right.
going at?
Any
Sure.
cloth
Good.
covering is going to be better than
Better
none.
than nothing, right?
Right.
But you
right.
know what? I mean, people shouldn't be trying to get the N95 masks.
No, correct.
It has to be really for the folks who have to deal with sick patients.
Yeah,
So let's talk about changes in municipal services or village or town hall hours. Have there been changes as we've gone along, or should we expect more changes?
I think we're all continuing the same schedules that we established early on in our
Yeah.
town buildings. But
Mhm.
one change we have learned of today is that the furniture share house donations are going to be put on a pause. We're going to ask people to please hold on to any furniture that they were planning to donate, because Furniture Share House has not been able to come and pick up the furniture donations. And we now have a completely full trailer at Maxwell Avenue, and it is starting to overflow, and we can have that because that's doesn't do the purpose of either donating it or throwing it away. So we're asking people to please hold on to them. And that is definitely a change. And that went out in some information today.
And Nancy, town center's only open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right now?
That's correct. And by appointment only, but there is someone at the front entrance. And so you can come in and talk to him about anything that you need to do or that you'd like to drop off, because of course people have been paying their taxes, have been donating masks. We have a receptacle there to collect masks for White Plains Hospital and Scarsdale Medical. So we have someone there, which is great, but only Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Lorraine, what about the Village of Larchmont? Is everything the same?
Village, yeah, pretty much. Village Hall is open every day, but we alternate which departments are open. So every day, half the departments are open. The next day, it's the other. The schedule for that is on the village website. And then we do have someone, a staff member stationed at a desk in the lobby every day. And they have a phone to call upstairs. We can bring files down, we can collect, we can take your payments, take forms, et cetera, right there in the lobby. So you don't even have to come up into Village Hall. And the building department is by appointment only.
One thing I do want to point out, that the Village of Mamaroneck Marina and the ramp will be open on May 15th. We were kind of up in the air about what was going to happen this year, but Governor Cuomo gave the okay to open the marinas. So that'll help our bottom line, because we'll be able to get revenue out of that. And also, there's a lot of people that's their main form of recreation during the summer. And
Yeah, I'm so glad about that, Tom. I was so happy that with that executive order change, because it really is such a wonderful outlet for people, and you are able to social distance.
Of course, yeah. Unless you're on a big cruise line, you're fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's actually the perfect pivot to recreation. I see that the Hammocks rink is closed for the rest of the season, but what about all the summer programs that are typically run in the town and villages?
We are all up in the air on that one. It is the call of the County Department of Health as to whether they will actually allow camps to proceed. And we don't know at this point. In the town of Mamaroneck, we decided that May 15th is our drop dead date. We're saying that we have to make the decision one way or the other. I'm hoping that there will be some kind of possible way to entertain and recreate kids this summer. I don't know if it's alternate days, smaller programs, different kinds of programs. But that's one of the things I think we might talk about tomorrow too on our call with the county, because we're going to have the Commissioner of the Department of Health join us, Dr. Sherlita Amler.
Yeah, I actually submitted that question.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, good, then it'll get asked.
Yeah, I know, I know a lot of people depend upon camp, and
Yeah.
but I don't see how you can do it. I mean, I'm more than willing to be proved wrong, but it's just everything I see on TV. Every time I watch Dr. Fauci, it's very. I mean, I appreciate his candor and I appreciate his knowledge, but the whole ballgame, what we have now, our only defense is social distancing. So, it's hard to social distance with kids at camp. It just really is.
Lorraine, did you have any different view about the summer programs?
We're this pretty
Same
much
boat.
the same. We're just waiting for an answer. Our program is fully registered and we've hired all our employees. We do that pretty early in the season. So now it's just a matter of waiting to see, what happens and how things change.
Nancy, I understand there was an Earth Day event. Want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that yesterday was Earth Day, the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, which is a big deal. And the county had lots of activities planned. We had a few activities planned in the town of Mamaroneck. Of course, they all had to be canceled. But the county did hold a virtual workshop, and we had about 200 people participating in a Zoom conference talking about lots of different environmental issues. And I was very happy to moderate a panel on resilience. And there was great people all involved in the environment, participating in all the different panels. There were breakout sessions, and it was just great to at least have the opportunity to have a break from coronavirus for a few hours and remember that it was Earth Day and that we're lucky to live in a beautiful community and to appreciate the nature that we have around us, and certainly the waterfront, because it really helps all of us get through this crisis.
Absolutely. And we also have a wonderful program, one of our community conversations on LMC-TV about students and sustainability. That's viewable on our YouTube page, as well as Facebook and on the channels, again, every night at 7:30. We do have another question from our audience. How can leaders help those of us still having issues getting unemployment checks?
I have a very good friend that's having this issue. And it's very, very frustrating. I don't know what I can do or what Nancy or Lorraine can do directly. I know that your best bet is to reach out to your your state elected officials. They have access to the Department of Labor. They could get you on a list. Those 4 million more Americans applied for unemployment benefits last week. It's just, and a lot of them are from this area. So I wish that there was something I could do. And if someone tells me what to do to help people, I'd be glad to do it. But I just don't see a way right now.
Lorraine, you volunteered to help with some of the businesses seeking help. Can you talk about that a little and how other people can get help with the business support programs?
They can go to the Westchester County website, the Economic Development section, and register for a time slot. They'll be paired up with one of the volunteers who have been trained to walk them through the application process for the EIDL and the PPA. And since Congress passed the legislation today, so those applications will start moving through again. I don't know if new applications at this point are going to make it far enough into before the money runs out. I hope they do, but certainly everyone who's in the pipeline will hopefully, move on to success. I would also say the same thing about unemployment. I think your best bet definitely is to go to your state representative. I mean, my daughter here in the house has been waiting 4 weeks and still doesn't even know if she's activated in the system. I mean, you get no feedback. It's incredibly frustrating.
We have heard from the state, though, that they've ramped up the number of employees who are working on it and the system. So, they keep speaking as if it should improve.
Yeah.
I hope that's true.
A question that I repeatedly asked is how people can get involved and help those who are financially strapped. Now, Tom, I know you were involved in some feeding the hungry or the food pantry. Can you tell us about that and whatever initiatives you all want to tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, I believe me, I had a little part in a very big venture. There was a lot of volunteers, a lot of organizations from a bunch of not-for-profits in the community, especially the Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force. They did a fantastic job behind the Mamaroneck Avenue School. So the school gave us the parking lot. Larchmont gave us the tents. We gave a lot of the logistics and the tables and the barricades. So it was a real community effort. I think that, people ask me what they can do a lot. And it's hard because you don't want to put people out into the community because, we're telling everybody to stay home. But if you have, extra funds, if you're working, if you're well off, please donate to the Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force. There's another group that's going to be doing another food giveaway in Harbor Island next week, which I was supposed to talk to Jerry Barbario about, but he's watching, so he'll probably call me tomorrow. So there are a lot of people trying to help a lot of people, and it's just going to get worse. There's a lot of people that have never had to access a food pantry before that are going to have to access them now. And I've been saying this from the beginning. My goal, and I think the goal of this whole community should be that no kid in this community goes to bed hungry. We can do that. This is very doable. We all have enough money. We all have enough good intentions. So, I know I've been posting on Facebook about Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force, and people have been giving, but you got to keep giving. This isn't a one and done. So I'll keep asking people for money. And believe me, it's not for me. It doesn't go through my fingers. It goes right to the Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force. Because I'll never forget, in the beginning of this, they were interviewing some epidemiologist, and they said to him, "What is the most important thing that people have to do?" And I'll never forget it. And he said, "People need to get enough nutrition. If people don't get enough nutrition, this is going to be really bad." So which made me think he thinks that there's going to be a lot of people who are hungry. And he's right. So
Lorraine, Nancy, did you want to add anything?
There are a couple of local groups that are starting up fundraising efforts for businesses that have not been able to operate at all, for the owners, so that they can sustain themselves and actually make their own families safe and secure and get fed. One of them is Bridge the Gap Larchmont, which is going to be offering interest-free loans to businesses. And businesses in the village of Larchmont can contact the Chamber of Commerce for information. They're not operating it, but they can get information through the chamber. And another one is going to be run by a local charity organization, and that should be up and running by Monday. And that will be a GoFundMe looking for donations from the community, which would give out grants of varying sizes. So
there also are lots of organizations and efforts that are identified on all of our websites, because the county sends us continual information about it. And we know that the Community Counseling Center located in the village of Mamaroneck, but serving all of us, is also providing mental health and emotional support during this time. And they also need support, and they are really helping parents deal with having their kids home and helping them homeschool.
Yeah, it's a learning experience. Where do our communities stand on census compliance or filling out the forms?
We're all about the same. I think we're all roughly about 55% response rate. We've all got signs made up. The village of Larchmont made up signs for all three of us. So they're thermometer signs. Ours is next to the post office sign. The town has theirs up at Palmer and Weaver. The village of Mamaroneck, we're not sure yet where it's going up.
But you guys have a little competition, don't you?
I want us to have a tri-municipal competition. We have to come up with a really good prize for the losing for the losing municipalities. The Larchmont Day, should it happen in September, we sometimes have a dunk tank. So I'm trying to get Tom and Nancy to agree that the lowest response rate goes in the dunk tank.
Lorraine drives a tough bargain.
Before we wrap it up, I'd like to just take it to the numbers of people in our community that have been affected by this. I think based on the county's numbers, between the 3 municipalities, we're coming close to 400 cases.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have a sense of how many we've lost in the course of this pandemic.
I really hate to get into and I've said this before, to get into the box scores of this, because each person is an individual tragedy. There has been loss of life. It's going to be more. I think we should wait to the end to tally it all up. Every community is doing everything that they can to protect this community. I think as Americans, Nancy and I were raised at the time when the Vietnam War was going on, and there was all this whole body count thing, and it's a statistic that really doesn't tell you anything. And I don't know, it just seems unfair to me, to the families, to be, keeping that box score every week.
Well, how are the numbers going? Are they trending in the same way as the rest of the county, which seems to be improving somewhat?
Yes, we do see that the numbers are flattening out, as they say. There's less hospitalizations, there's less new cases, there's a flattening of the active cases. So all of that is good news. And the numbers that we get are, we know they're delayed. Some of them are might not be perfectly accurate. So it is difficult to use them as a real measuring stick of what's going on. We just know that, yes, it is widespread, and we've all been touched by it.
And the reason the numbers are going down is because people are social distancing.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
And we want to cheer that on. We really want to thank people for doing it and to continue to do it and to be very, very conscientious about it.
Right.
And I think, Matt, that wraps us up on time for tonight.
It does, and I want to thank everyone, and hopefully we can invite you all back next week at our regularly scheduled time at 7:30.
I appreciate you all making an accommodation for me.
You're welcome.
Certainly can understand,
welcome, Tom.
and thank you very much. So 7:30 p.m. next Thursday and every night on LMC-TV. Viewers can watch more community conversations about the local efforts being put forth in our community, the positive stories, the fact that there are so many people doing so much good, and it's not just the gloom and doom that you see when you tune into the regular news at night. There are wonderful stories and wonderful things that are happening. So please stay tuned. And we want to thank all of you for being on tonight. And I'd like to personally thank Sean and Dina for their efforts tonight in making sure that this broadcast went out.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you,
Good
Mark.
night.
Good night.
Good night, folks.
Good night.